Sometimes you get the perfect performance from an announcer and it's just a smidgen too long. You want to speed it up. And you don't want to have them do it again because their emphasis was perfect and it was just great, except it's a little too long, or maybe it's a little too short, and you just need to adjust the timing. So let me show you how to do that. We'll make a new announcer track. We'll bring him to the top, and we'll call this disclaimer. Mute this guy. It's the kind of language that you hear in your typical advertising disclaimer. So I'm going to turn this guy on. We don't hear him because the input, my microphone, is going to analog 2. When you create double tracks, 2 tracks in Pro Tools, sometimes it will think that you've already got something plugged into here and you must want to use the second input now. It's not the case for me, so I'm going to switch back to here, and there's my voice. So let me record this quickly. Investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations and should consider a source of any advice on stock selection. Various factors, including personal or corporate ownership, may influence or factor into an expert's stock analysis or opinion. All investors are advised to conduct their own independent research into individual stocks before making a purchase decision. In addition, investors are advised that past stock performance is no guarantee of future price appreciation. A typical disclaimer. So let's trim off the front of this because we don't like stuff at the front. Investors should be cautious about, let's say we got to about 27.3 is what I'm seeing here. Let's say it just absolutely had to be 25 seconds. We can't live with 27.399. There is a tool called the Time Compressor Trimmer. Just like the separation grabber was the same as the grabber, except it had a little scissor in the hand. This is the same as the trimmer, except it has a little watch inside the trimmer, and we can still use our smart tool. And I'm going to adjust the length of this and watch the length up here. Instead of trimming off the back, as you've seen many times, what I'm doing is taking the entire file and making it be this long. I can actually reach up and type a number up into that length, but this is sort of more fun to wiggle around and see if I can get it. Let's say I would rather be a smidgen short than a smidgen long. And now we have, investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations and should consider a source of any advice on stock selection. Various factors, including personal or so this is the kind of thing you would use for batteries not included, void in Alaska and Hawaii and everywhere else. What it does is, you saw the little green line go across there. It took my disclaimer, the original. I'm going to hold down the Option key here and play it. Investors should be cautious about, all right, so it took the one you watched me record and it made a time shift file, a TISH. So let me undo that because it's not wise to time shift another time shifted file. You always want to try and get back to the original if you're going to perform a time shift. And of course, we can stretch it as well. Investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations. Right, that sort of sounds like I had a couple martinis for lunch. We can just sort of make it crazy too. Investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations. Okay, that sounds like I had a lot more than one martini for lunch. Time shifting is handy. There is some dispute about whether the new time shift algorithm in Pro Tools 11 is as good as the one in 10. I happen to like it. I think it's pretty good. You have a window of opportunity, I think, that you can go about maybe 10 to 20% in any direction, shorter or longer, and still get the benefits of it, and you're not actually ruining the file to do it. But I think, when you crowd it up like this, investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations and should consider a source of any. I mean, it's obviously just a cartoon effect, but it's a handy device for relatively small adjustments to your voiceover.